Good morning, everybody. I'd like today to give a presentation about the medical waste management in Kuwait, the standard and the procedure. My name is Eng Soha. I'm from Kuwait EPA. First of all, I'll try to give an introduction about Environmental Public Authority in Kuwait. It has been established in 1995. And it is the authority that should carry out all the activities, function, and ensure the environmental protection. We are the one in charge of setting the regulation standard, the national standard for all environmental aspects in Kuwait. Decision number 210 have been established in 2001. It is including all the international standard and regulation. Chapter 4 from this decision sets the regulation and standard for successful environmental management in medical waste. First of all, actually it's going to be kind of repetition because everybody is talking about the same subject. So, we have healthcare waste divided in as hazardous waste or non-hazardous waste. The non-hazardous waste is the one who's coming from industrialization or housekeeping functions. It is the one that doesn't have any infection or not contaminated, and there is no radioactive risk for it. On the other hand, the hazardous waste usually it's from 10 to 25% from the total healthcare waste. It is the one which is coming from sources that can be contaminated with infections, chemical or radioactive agent. They should be handled and disposed carefully. In our law, we define those hazardous waste as 8 different categories, as infection waste, and we have waste from human or animal residue, poisonous reagent and stone material, sharp object waste like needles. Chemical waste is waste identified as a solid, liquid, gas coming from laboratories function. The pharmaceutical waste is the damaged or expired medicine. Waste containing high concentration of heavy metal like mercury and radioactive materials. In our EPA, waste segregation is the very important stage in management of medical waste. Proper segregation will give us a reduced cost of handling and treating and disposal of those waste. In article number 43, we have all the specification for the plastic bag. It's the thickness, the total volume, and even the color code of them. Appendix 11.9 have all the color code that's been set by Kuwait EPA. For example, if you go to the very contagious waste, should be the plastic should the bag or container type should be strong and anti-leakage plastic bag, and they should be in color yellow, and there is a contagious mark on that. For example, sharp objects, they should be in yellow, the container, and anti-per se container or plastic bag, or handle, I mean. We have the regular other healthcare waste, which could be put in a plastic or blue bag. And we have the chemical or pharmaceutical waste should be in yellow bags with a chemical waste on them. In Article 41, it said all the standard or specification of how we handle, what should we follow to handle the medical waste. The bags should be not filled like only 3/4, they should be handled from top. The container should be labeled, and all the detail on the label, the name of the product and the name of the location, which wing or department produce this kind of waste, what type of waste, the weight of it, and the amount of stored waste in container, the date of collection, and the time and date of the storage. The waste bag, the container must be collected on a daily basis by safety trolleys. The storage, actually, I picked some few specification for the medical storage. In Article 42, you can see the whole details. We have to set in each facility a place to store the medical waste, and it should be allowed only for authorized person. It should be air conditioned, good lighting, humidity, and the maximum period time to store the medical waste shouldn't exceed 24 hours. Even in transportation is also another issue. We have the specification for the transporter, for transportation vehicles, and also the manifest. Treatment technology or disposal method in Kuwait's EPA, we have the incinerator as a proof method for disposal of medical waste. We have the autoclave as an alternative, microwave and chemical disinfection. In Article 35, we have all the detailed specification. I'll talk about it later, about what the special specification for the incinerator, and also we have the specification for the autoclave and microwave as an alternative to it. Just a quick overview, we can see that incineration is we can use it to treat most type of waste, like infection, pharmaceutical, and even sharp object. While the autoclave and microwave, they have limited, you cannot dispose the pharmaceutical waste with them. The technical specification, as EPA, we make sure that these specifications should be in each kind of incinerator we use. For example, the capacity shouldn't be less than 500 kilogram per hour. Temperature, the incinerator temperature should be exceeding 1,200. And what we have in Kuwait, we have two incinerator chamber. The first chamber should be between 850 to 1,000 the temperature, while in the second chamber it will be 1,200. Just to ensure a complete incinerator and to change the phase and reduce the risk of the emissions coming out from the incinerator. The design of the incinerator, one of the specifications that the gases should be staying in the second chamber at least for 2 seconds. Percentage of extra oxygen should be exceed 3%. The temperature of the emission coming out from the chamber shouldn't be less than 150, just to prevent corrosion in the chimneys. Efficiency of the incinerator should be not less than 99.99%. The incinerator must be equipped with the control system, and it should have an equipped chimney that the total height shouldn't be less than 12 meters. And if there is any near building to the incinerator, the chimney should be above the height of any nearest building with at least 3 meters. Also, the chimney bag for emission coming out should have an opening to collect a sample from the incinerator. In Article 35, there is this table that says the limitation of each kind of emission coming out from the incinerator. That, for example, dioxin furan shouldn't be exceed 0.1 nanogram per meter cube. The lead, the cadmium, total particle, all these should be tested, collected, analysis, and we have to have a semi-annual report for the average emission coming from the incinerator, and make sure it doesn't exceed those limits. If we want to talk about in Kuwait as an experience, we are the people who set the regulation and standard, but also we have to follow up with what's happening in the real life. Medical sector in Kuwait, we can divide it in two parts. We can say that waste coming from government facility and the waste coming from the private sector. If we go to the medical coming from the government sector, they approve the incineration system, and they have 4 central incinerators owned by Kuwait Ministry of Health. In the private sector, on the other hand, because of the capacity of the incinerator, the government sector doesn't allow to handle or treat the medical waste from the private sector, so we allow them to use an alternative, which is the autoclave, or send it to a controlled landfill, which is located in the reception station of hazardous waste in Shaiba, which is owned by Industrial Public Authority. If we see the cooperation, like a brief history about the cooperation between EPA and Ministry of Health, actually we are in continuous cooperation with them, but before it was in each hospital in Kuwait, government hospital, there was an incinerator. But when Kuwait EPA funded a study done by Kesser to measure the gases pollution emitted from this incinerator, we decided to stop all these incinerators because they used to be old incinerators, have been built from 1980. So the Ministry of Health, they were cooperate with us and they stopped those incinerators and they depend on the, actually the three, and that time there was only 3 central incinerators before the new one in Cheb have been opened in 2012. Even we in Kuwait EPA, we have a representative in Ministry of Health Committee to make sure that each new incinerator or disposal method for medical waste should be follow our regulations. So we make sure that one of our representatives will be there with them to check the tender before the new project will be applied. So for example, in the incinerator committee, we make sure that all the specification of the tender should have all, they agree with Article 35 and 36 from our decision. The latest incinerator have been opened in 2012, I think around March. It's operated by Ministry of Health, and this incinerator exactly have been, this is the latest, this is a picture of it, and it's follow our regulation when the tender was there. You can see there should be a control board with all the switch and on and off, and just to follow up as a continuous. We have a mechanical system for feeding solid waste. This is what the incinerator looked like, actually, because lots of people here didn't maybe go and check how the incinerator looked like. It's a mechanical feeding system for the solid waste and even for the liquid waste. If we go to the private sector, because as I said before, we have a lack of capacity to incinerate the medical waste coming from them. So in Ministry of Health make a decision number 113 in year 2006 for the private hospital to, just kind of enforcement that to put an laboratory and one-day surgery clinic to have an autoclave in their facility. As Engineer Hanan said, that anything that's not within MOH, like hospital or clinic, they are built as a private sector, even KOC or the university. So we ask them to have an autoclave to treat their waste on site. EPA cooperates with the Ministry of Health to give license to vehicles that are responsible for transporting the medical waste to the disposal facility. All the private sector, which is have only regular clinic without any surgery in it, they can send all their medical waste to the hazardous landfill. It's a hazardous that's been designed with lining and the proper design to deal with those waste as a hazardous waste. So all the private clinic and expired medicine pharmacies, they send the expired medicine to this landfill in Shaiba. We check on them regularly, and we know that some of the medicine they do they call a solidification method. They make it in a blocks, and they have a special place in this landfill to collect only the medical waste. As an EPA, as I told you, we just monitor or follow up how our regulation is complied, or like we don't produce the medical waste, but we want to make sure that our regulations are followed. So we do an inspect on the private sector with the Ministry of Health. We have a team, they go and regular check on the private sector to check that all articles from 39 to 46, they have been followed for handling, storage, transporting their medical waste. Also, all the incinerators that belong to Ministry of Health, they report us with the emissions coming out from the chimney of the incinerator as a semi-annual report, and we have to review it and check that there is no exceedance to this regulation. As a recommendation, just to follow that, if we can say that waste management can be done safely with no hazard effort, with a good handling and proper, with updated knowledge, we can ensure a proper execution. And awareness is a very essential personnel to produce and dispose of medical waste. Thank you.